Good morning, Tammy.
Good morning, Julie.
Well, as most people know, we've already been through our routine before we ever get on the call, but and that's good. You don't need to hear how we're doing. So I mean, maybe whatever. Anyway,
We're doing good.
yeah,
We're doing okay.
like all kinds of stuff. So before we introduce ourselves, I just want to say thank you and thanks for your patience. I'm sure you all were out doing things, and because we kind of had quite a gap there where there were where there weren't any questions coming in. And that's fine, and now we have a lot, so we
Mhm.
probably won't get to all of them in this session, which is great. We'll do it again in the other set in the next session. So, and I just have
Yep.
to tell you, we are this close to our 100th episode. This will be number 96.
Wow. Wow.
It's number 96. I'll have to go back and look. So we're
It's
very
gone
close. So
gone fast.
yes. So oh, Tammy, would you mind introducing us, please?
Yeah, of course. So we are two psychic moms. I am Tammy Langowski. I'm an intuitive advisor, working with your questions, clairaudient, clairvoyant, other clairs, but those are my primary abilities. And I do a lot of channel messages, so you can contact me for private sessions on my website, tammysintuitive.com. And I do have a contact form there. And then I'm on social media at Tammy's Intuitive Services, TikTok, Facebook. What's the other one? Instagram. So that's about me. And Julie?
You are so good at that. I'm Julie
Oh,
Hawkins.
thank you.
I'm the biz psychic.
Always.
I am not very, I'm kind of present on my social media as me. Okay.
Mhm.
I do share our um, Two Psychic Mom episodes on my Biz Psychic Facebook page and also my private page. I think, yeah, I'm so not in love with social media these days. So, but you can get me by emailing me or submitting a form also. But you can sign up for a session on my website. And it has been busy for us early. For me, it always is early in the year. But
Mhm.
yeah. So, oh, it's Tuesday, March 28th.
It is. The month went quickly,
Yeah.
as they usually do.
I know.
All right, so we've got some questions.
Yep.
And thank you in advance to all that have sent them in. Um, we really welcome them, so we'll take an opportunity to say that. So, any kind of general type questions you have for us, that's kind of for the good of all. We love to work with your questions on Two Psychic Moms because it makes it more fun for us to be able to respond to something that you're interested in, kind of getting a different perspective about. So,
And often a question for one has answers for all. So
mhm,
you're
mhm,
not the only one asking those questions. So, but we
right.
love them and we love the deep questions. And so I think we're
Yeah.
starting with Marco's, right?
Yep, I believe so.
It's deep and
Okay,
far and wide. Okay, do you want me to read
yeah.
it to you? I'm gonna,
Sure. You want to do that?
yeah, I'll
Because
read it. I'm
okay,
gonna read it the
okay,
first time with the full questions and the parentheses, and then I'm gonna read it with taking out the parentheses because it's yeah, it'll make more sense. Okay, not that it doesn't make sense, but it just anyway, just feel
I
like
get you.
thanks. All right, so there's kind of two parts to this question. So the first part is, are things on Earth going to get much worse before they get better? And so in parentheses, he says, are things on Earth going to get much worse as far as the breadth and depth of human suffering before they get better? So let's start with that one.
Okay. I'm just tuning in to my guides right now, listening. So we are giving some channeled messages here. So
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Guys just kind of say it like it is.
Yeah.
Basically it's pretty much going to remain the same as it is. So you're going to see moments of things seem really great and things seem to be going a little bit easier collectively in the world of what we hear about, which is, again, we're going to be relying a lot on media, right? To inform us of a lot of things that are kind of going on in the world. But you will always have moments of despair and tragedy and what you see as tragic are lessons, as we know. But there are also going to be moments where things are celebrated, the human race is celebrated, and there's a collective of coming together to celebrate good deeds, accomplishments. They're showing me technology. So, like, in other words, things that are for the human race that help all of us, and getting better in that way. But will it get better as far as what he's saying about that part about the depth of human suffering? And they're reminding us that that is so very individual for all of us, and our perceptions are all going to be very personal on that as to what that is. We may have it in our world, in our family dynamic, let's say, and then you meet up, let's say, with a friend whose world is not in that right now. Their idea of the human race and everything might be very positive, where if you're going through something personally at that time, you may not view the world as such. So that's why we are saying not much changes in that regard. It can be a very individual experience in a very collective, universal world. Okay, that's what we'll say to that part.
So my guide said, worse or better than what? I mean,
Yeah.
when you compare it to history, the history of your civilization, and I can't go all the way back, but they're saying, worse than Hitler, worse than Trump, worse than, worse than what? Worse than the plague, worse than there have been many better thans and worse thans throughout history, and many horrible, maniacal, malevolent people who are, and we said this to my friend who asked this offline as well, who are, we sort of hold a universal spectrum of what we consider normal or average, right? And when you have somebody like a Hitler or a Napoleon or a Genghis Khan or whoever, who are mad with narcissism and control and ego, then you get these moments in time, and they really, in the spectrum of time, it really is a moment where horrible things happen. Horrible, 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 horrible things happen to lots of people and to the few, but that feel horrible, like it was with this mass shooting in Tennessee. And that's another whole conversation, by the way. So you will have, it will always be this moments of, it's better, it's worse, it's better, it's worse, this up and down, this roller coaster of human nature. And most of the human nature is heartfelt and has compassion and empathy for their fellow humans. And then there are the few who do not have any of that, and they are the ones that go off and cause much misery to many people. So yes, it will continue, because this is the human condition. And until that changes, this is what you all signed up for. And so we remind you, everybody has a review at the end of that human life in which they decide what lesson they want to learn in the next human life. And it doesn't say how you learn that lesson, it's just a lesson to learn. And hopefully there's evolution. It may take many lifetimes to evolve through a lesson. So yes, the short answer is there will always be, until your human civilization evolves to a point where that doesn't matter anymore. And we don't see that happening, certainly not in any near lifetimes for you, and probably many, many eons, if any. It just, if any. So
yeah, agreed. Because our guides often remind us too that the being, incarnating on this planet Earth that's what you signed up for, in a sense. It's not about I mean, we can all do and get into our causes to save the planet and to make things better, which is great, which is wonderful. But, you know, there is a plethora of learning here. And that's what we basically sign up for on this planet. It's not necessarily to save the world. I always get that. Not, I don't, you can try. And that's good that you're trying. Not
That's
to
your,
sound
that may be your
pessimistic, but
lesson. That may be your
exactly.
lesson in this lifetime,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. It's the cause you're in and that you're learning all about that. You know, thank you, Planet Earth, for providing that. Just as some are using it in a different way. But yeah, great,
Exactly.
great. Yeah.
All right. And so good, always good information for them. Okay. And so the next part of that question is organized religions. So organized religions appear to have gotten the perception of reality so wrong. How is it that so many humans over millennia are getting the basics of reality so wrong? And I would start off by saying, what is it that you mean by reality? Because everybody's reality is a little bit different. So I want to read the parentheses of this question. And by the way, for those of you who may be looking for this was sent to me personally, so it won't be on the YouTube channel. Organized religions, such as Christianity and Islam, appear to have gotten the perception of reality wrong. Or how have they gotten it so wrong? So he says, e.g., the creation of a hell and the existence of an evil outside of ourselves that is a Satan-like force. Okay, so that is, I think, the reality that he's talking about. So again, I'm going to read it. Organized religions appear to have gotten the perception of reality wrong. For example, the creation of hell and the existence of an evil outside ourselves, such as a Satan-like force or the devil. How is it that so many humans over millennia got this wrong? Go.
Ready, set, go. Like, okay. Yeah, that's a heady question, but it's a good one. So a lot of things are coming to me. There's a basis to this that is really about reminding, we're going to go back to the idea that we all incarnate on this planet and we all have certain things we want to learn about and we're interested in and so forth and so on. So what I've learned over time with my guides is that, you know, and I think there's probably a lot of agreement with this, is that, you know, to each his own is almost what we're going to say. You come into a lifetime, and you do have many lifetimes that you might choose to learn about a different religion. So I hear you in this question. I mean, I'm with you on this question. I get it. You know, we think when you become a little bit more spiritual and aware that some of these, you know, this dogma and these organized religions and things seem a bit silly, you know, frankly. And I don't mean to offend anybody by saying that, because I also understand from a spiritual perspective that nobody really is completely wrong in their religious beliefs or following a certain dogma or, you know what I'm saying, right? Message. Because that in itself, they're telling me, is an experience. So while we ask, why does this continue? You know, aren't people more aware now? Yeah, actually, more people I think are aware. However, there are still going to be souls incarnating that need that experience. I myself and previous or slash parallel lifetimes have been a priest. I know that. I've been a monk. Those are the two spiritual ones. I could probably go further and, do some stuff on that and find out some more. But I'm sure I learned a great deal. I learned enough to know that organized religions don't work for me in this lifetime. Thank you to the other probably lifetimes I had. That, you know, while there are some positives to it, for sure, for some people, I mean, there really are, and not so much maybe for others. So I would say, I'm just going back to the question again, just to look again. Organized Christians appear to have gotten the perception of reality wrong. So, you know, your reality is going to be based on your own personal journey, really, of what reality is. Though I understand, again, the question of what you mean by that, and just what you choose to come in here to learn. So, yeah, the existence of an evil outside. Well, this was all about control back in the day of, the church and all that good stuff. And some people feel comfortable. Frankly, what I have learned is that there are many souls on the planet that feel comfortable being led in a certain direction because they don't know what else to do with themselves if they're not led. And honestly, I have seen some situations where it's not for me, for sure, but where I can see is literally saved people because it worked for them to have this certain way of looking at things and following, and it keeps them present on the earth. And for some it gives them some sort of, what's the word I'm looking for, but there's a word and it's not coming to me, but it get purpose, I guess, right, of somehow being able to exist. So over millennia, why are they getting the basics of reality so wrong? Again, because it's everyone's own personal journey. They keep telling me that everybody has a right to learn in a different way. If the idea, I'm going to go back to this briefly, that we have talked about, I think, before, is that if really, from what my guides have told me, if really lifetimes are about, I say it like climbing the ladder to ultimate compassion, which is what source is, then we have to walk in everybody's shoes. We have to have many experiences because we can all know, even in this lifetime, we can understand maybe somebody else's dilemma, but we understand it all the more if we've gone through it. We know it. And so this is what that's about. So we perceive, maybe some of us are perceiving it as wrong. And I understand that, but at the same time, it's not wrong for them, it works for them. And this is what they, again, have chosen to experience.
So perfect about being led. There is a big part of the population that just needs that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this question really does sort of piggyback on to his first question, because it truly relates back to those people who, while maybe they started out with good intentions like Jesus, it was taken and warped through control and fear, control and fear, control and fear. If you keep people afraid, you manage them, you control them to your ends and desires. And that's what religion maybe wasn't created for or started out for, but that's certainly how it evolved over the millennia. And we see, we're going to say it changing anytime soon, but it has over time. The number of people who classify themselves as atheists has increased versus those who believe in a deity or a personal, a higher being. That's a whole other conversation, so I won't go there. But when you are indoctrinated and conditioned from a young age to believe, if you don't do this, then the devil's gonna do this, then those are hard belief systems to unlearn and overcome. And a lot of people get in their reality that, what is this, and so they work at a lifetime of unlearning that. And then there are the others who, like you said, that's their reality. It works for them. They like to be led and are led easily. And this is not meant to offend anyone. They are just in this part of their evolution where they are not questioning, trying to be so diplomatic here. They're just of a lower vibration and intelligence, and they don't question. They allow that they want to be led. Now, out of some of these things does, as you said, come good for them. People who have a belief or a faith in something because they need it to get through that, good for them. They need that. There are times that I've needed that. And I will say that I separate it. I think my belief in a higher source of compassion is very different from the dogma of religion. And so we would like to see that part evolve more. We hope that maybe over time it will, but you'll always have that percentage of people who are taught this from day one, this dogma and this fear-based grooming and conditioning. And it, until somebody breaks the chain of that there will continue to be that. It is just, and oh, by the way, it can be a convenient, and I think Marco and I talked about this, excuse for people to use, right? So we won't go much into that, but it can be that. So, oh boy, yeah. And as you said, we'll just reiterate, everybody's perception is a little bit different, and everybody has their own unique reality. And if everybody just strived to be a little bit more compassionate, what a great leap forward that would be for humankind and humanity and humanness. So that's what we'll say about that.
Yeah. Yes, yes. Now it looks like we have another, and thank you for those questions, because they were really good.
Great.
They were great questions. Thank you. Should we look at Janae's question?
Sure.
Okay. I can, well, she mentions you in here, so I'm going to read this and I'll let you respond to that. Does that sound good?
Sure.
Okay. So she says, thank you, Janae, for sending this question. Hi, ladies. Thank you for the video. Can we get a weather update, please? It's all about the weather these days, isn't it? I know that Julie predicted there was going to be lots of rain. Yeah. But I didn't think the weather would cause so many problems and delays for us from a day-to-day standpoint. So, honey, yeah, weather update, please.
So before we get to that, as usual, people are always in mode of humans are always in mode of, not always, but largely in the mode of putting out fires, no weather related intended pun, instead of being proactive and working to head off these problems before they come. So of course, we've had a tumultuous season of fires here in the Bay Area and in California, and not elsewhere actually, in the world and in our country. And it's going to continue. We're going to continue to get super storms, because of where we are with climate change. And so what we'd rather see humans do is start thinking, and there are many who are doing this, but they're in the minority right now, of how we prevent these things and solving climate change before it gets to the point where all we can do is try to throw water at fires and try to build more dams and reservoirs for rain. So, but as usual, humankind is rather behind in their efforts with that. So the first thing they said was, okay, just kind of suck it up and enjoy it, because you, hello, in the Bay Area and California at large, need this water. So while it is inconvenient, to say the least at times, it is necessary, and you will reap the benefits of that as time goes on. Because things are in a constant state of motion and fluidity, we can't give you a day-to-day or even a seasonal update, but to say, this season was going to be a rainy season, and it's probably going to continue a little bit, although you are now heading into spring doesn't mean you don't get shower-like weather as you head into spring. But what it also leads to now is a hotter summer, which is not my favorite. I'll just tell you that. And so your extremes are going to be more and more extremes. Your weather are going to see more and more extremes. As you know, this is not a surprise. So we feel, and the reason we said suck it up and enjoy it now is because we're not sure that this is what you're going to see next year. You may see a return to drought conditions next year. And so bless the clouds and your entities and whatever else you want to bless for the gift of this water now, because you will need it, sadly. Okay, that's what we have to say about that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. And it was funny, I kind of chuckled because my guide said, like, this is like a really basic weather report. The rain will come and then you will get dry weather. Or like, the rain is here. Oh no, sorry. I worded it wrong. I wrote down what they said. The rain will cease and then you will get dry weather. So, like everyone could chuckle and say, yeah, well, we'd figure that, but that is what they said. It does feel like there'll be a period of, pretty dry weather during this. I mean, dry during the summer. That's what I'm sensing now. But like Julie said, things can change. It's a little, even if I was really a predictor, which I don't ever, tout that I'm a predictor, I would be careful as to say that because weather is kind of crazy, right? And these poor weathermen probably don't even know what to say half of the time. But we do feel that it's going to remain a bit choppy. And then it does feel like there's this dry spell. They're just telling me about this dry spell, summer, I'm assuming. What's interesting is I keep getting something about September, but I don't know what it is yet.
Hot, hot.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's like, why stumbling on September? Because that's kind of interesting, right? Unless it's just really hot then too. But it feels like, yeah, we could be having some, I don't know, see if something goes on in September. I'm not sure exactly what that is. Maybe it is just that it is still really hot and we're all thinking, woof. But we do know here, at least where Julie and I are at, it can last. I mean, into September, October, where you get, some nice warm weather. Yeah. So, I'll ask this, guys, is it going to remain to be, we've had what we consider kind of crazy weather. I mean, all these rains and then, yes, it will. Does it feel like it's going to be this way for years to come? Big question, but let me just see what they say. Yeah, they seem to think it will. Systems will come, systems will go. I don't know if we're ever going to be back to what we were. And I just got a little sense of sadness there. What was to what we were? I think about when we were growing up here, maybe, a long time ago. It is going to be different. But agreed that the weather, like Julie's saying, we got to embrace that rain right now because I think it's going to be, pretty dry later
And
on.
there will be more. We feel like you're going to have periods of
Yeah.
rain still in through April. I mean, I've been here. I remember, I think it was at my daughter's graduation in June, and we had a rain shower that passed. So,
Right.
but anyway,
we can get those
we
weird
can get
weather
those,
things.
but we're saying embrace this now because you're going to be really grateful that you have the snowpack and you have foliage because I feel parched on my tongue. They're showing me these drought conditions are gonna return.
Yeah, dries up. Yeah, that's what I feel too. Yeah. Okay, thank you for the question.
And as you know, everything's fluid and can change. So
yes, exactly.
Although
exactly.
I will share a personal note about something. So I was talking to a fidelity advisor, which is where my tiny little savings is at, and he said, I don't usually tell people this because they think I'm crazy, but I said, and I don't research a lot of stuff. In fact, I don't research it really anything, but I was like, okay, I think we need to change this because I've lost some money and I'm afraid to lose more money and I can't afford to lose more money. And I said, I'm psychic and my guides have told me that we're going to see this volatility throughout the remainder of this year. And by next year, it will settle down. And he said, well, you'll be happy to know Fidelity agrees with you.
Funny.
I said, okay, good to know.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you have it. You might want to think about talking to your advisor. So,
right.
Again, I like that Tammy says she doesn't predict. And I don't want to call it a prediction. I'm just telling you what the energy of whatever your question is that they're giving me. Okay.
Right. And it's fair to say, we always say with any reading you ever get, I think, you do need to do that. I always consider it like the snapshot, of what's likely to happen by what I'm currently receiving. And I think, same probably for you too, Julie, and so it is important to just kind of know that we don't have control over if things change or, you know what I'm saying.
We only have control over us. That's the whole point in this lifetime. Get control of you, your thoughts and your actions and behaviors, and really just find that, dig down deep for that compassionate person. Develop it, because if we all had more of that, it would be a much happier place. So, okay. Daphne. Go, Daphne.
Okay, so I probably have about 5 minutes, if that's okay. So maybe
we'll see how far we get, and then we'll just say, okay, we'll answer the rest of these because there's quite a bit here. She's got
right.
Okay, she says, Hi, Julie and Tammy. Thank you immensely for these messages. Yes, I was away to see my fiance's family in UK for a month. By the way, this is on YouTube, so we're not giving away anything here. It's written on our channel.
Mhm.
And when I came back, there's been issues with my HOA. I have been a bit afraid to live in my own home due to all the bullying. I really miss both of you. I don't know what that means, but we'll go into that. I have been checking in here often. I have some questions in regard to listening to your intuition and manifestation. When life happens, here's apparently the question. When life happens and kicks you into anxiety and worries, it's really hard to listen to your intuition. And indeed, Daphne, it is. You are conditioned, and it is a conscious work to undo that. Okay. You, again, were brought in with this characteristic. So it takes conscious work to undo this. So, yes, it is hard. How do you know if the voice in your head is from intuition, ego's worries, or your mind? They all sound a lot the same. Yes, this is great. So let's just tackle this and we'll leave the rest for next week or next time. So here's what I have learned, and here's what my guides you might hear a combination of things here. So when I first started doing this work, and indeed when I first started working in the records, when you are in the presence of something that is a supreme non-physical being, i.e. in the records, and maybe Daphne, you and I can talk offline about this. I say whether you do the work or not, learning this prayer might be really beneficial for you, because when you open up the records, and it may be other options for you to do this, you're in the presence of a higher being and source love that has no negative voice. There is nothing negative in it. It is pure love and unconditional love and compassion. Okay. And so that you can be sure of. Intuition is kind of, in my experience, kind of like a statement of the facts. Okay. It's like, should I take this class? Oh, yes, it would be good for you. My intuition is telling me. Okay. Then if you go off and running with, but it might be this and it might be that, that's your own chatter going on about what will happen if. People who have anxiety, and it's often coupled with depression, hear a lot of what if or what will happen if. Okay, but then what if? Okay, but then what if? Oh, but then what if? You have to turn the what if into something else. It might be, what if I don't take this class? What will I be facing then? So sometimes it's a turning it around. So um, to summarize this quickly, we may go back into it in more in depth in the next episode, but I want to get Tammy's response in. I see the difference in intuition is a little bit more fact-based or informative, or just informational. It's, oh, I really like that car. Should I get that car? Yes, that car is good for, or, oh no, that car not very helpful because blah, blah, blah. It's informational. It doesn't necessarily have a feeling attached to it. It can in the outcome, but not necessarily. So that's how I see intuition in the short term, in the short answer of this. Tammy?
Yeah, thank you. It's kind of like the voice of reason, right? Kind of just gives you, yeah. And yeah, and what I was going to also, Daphne, when you first mentioned about, like you said, when life happens, kicks you in anxiety and worries. My guides right away were, kind of mentioning, well, there is where you need to lie some of your attention as well, is to this whole thing about your anxiety and depression or worry or whatever it could be for any of us. We've all experienced, varying degrees of maybe all of them. Because really you're needing to kind of that anxiety and that and so forth is there's a lesson behind, there's something to learn behind it about yourself. And so maybe even delving into that a little bit more and exploring that more than being concerned about, am I hearing things right? My intuition, though, intuition, all that is great, of course. We want to ultimately get there. If you haven't been already, I'm sure you have. But if you're feeling, we would just say we would like to see you address the anxiety, where the anxiety is coming from, or any of the worries first, because it's hard to be in that and listening to your intuition at the same time. It is very difficult to do that. So I think I'm going to shorten it with just that. Also, as another thought is, and I agree with everything you said, Julie, and how you described it and what you said. So this is just another thing to think about as well. If you find that's getting in the way, first things first, they just said, let's maybe address, where some of that's coming from. And that can be in a lot of different ways. You can explore that. So
exactly. And I will just add on, there's one visualization that might be really helpful. And there's a lot of tools, look up books, and it really does take conscious effort work though.
Yeah.
And it's worth it in the
Mhm.
end. I just did a reading for somebody who really was suffering with anxiety. But that's a whole other conversation. But so one of the visualizations I give to people or suggest is that if it's anything that you've had anxiety about in the past and you did it, and then you came out the other end and you're like, oh, well, that wasn't so bad, because 99% of the time it's never as bad as you think it's going to be.
Mhm.
Um, Pay attention to the feeling that you have of relief as you came through that other end, and you're like, wow, oh, it wasn't bad. It wasn't
Mhm.
hard. And what do I feel? I feel relief. And how does that feel? Oh, it feels so good, right? And when you start feeling anxiety, is to go to, this is actually from an NLP point of view, go to that place of something you experienced where you came out the other end, and the relief, the peace, the calm, the feelings that you had of, oh, what was I worried about? And anchor those in, remind yourself all the time of those, so that when you start to feel anxiety, you remind yourself, wait, no, it was okay. I remember now. And how did I feel? Okay, I remember that now. And consciously do this work every single time.
Mhm. Yeah,
All
that's a
righty.
great visual.
So we may have
And
some.
you got some other great questions here. So we'll address those. I do have a session. That's why I have to
Yeah,
get
yeah.
going and get ready. But yeah, we'll address the other ones that you had as well. Okay. Those will be their first ones for next time.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for your patience and for your questions. And take a nice deep breath. Enjoy
Yes.
the day. Remember to have those good feelings. Anchor them. We'll talk more about anchoring, but there's some good books. And if you want more questions, questions about books or information, just write it on YouTube and I'll respond. All right. Thank you so much. It's been great for us, and we hope it's been
Yeah.
good for you. And we'll see you next time.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.